The rooming house on Ferrell Street had been shut for 31 years when the county put it up for the taxes. It went for $4,100. That was the back tax, the filing fee, and nothing else. Nobody in Schuylkill County wanted it. 14 rooms, a coal furnace, a slate roof, and water coming in since the Clinton administration. Maura Pavlik was 28, and she had been sleeping in her car since the second week of January. She bought it with money that was not hers to spend. And she knew it at the time. The house is 3 stories of brick with a slate roof, and a wooden porch across the whole front. 14 rooms. A kitchen in the back with a range you could put a hog in. A dining room with one long table still standing in it. Every door in that building was open when she got the key. Every single one except the door at the end of the second-floor hall. That one was locked, and it was the only lock in the house that somebody had fitted on purpose. There is a number on it, painted, about eye height. 9. This is one of those stories. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe and let us know in the comments where you are watching from today. The money was her mother's funeral money. Deb Pavlik died in October of a thing that took 11 weeks from the first appointment. There was a small policy, $4,600, and it was meant for the funeral. And the stone. Maura did the funeral for $600 at a crematorium in Pottsville and did not buy a stone. She has been direct about that with everybody who has asked and with some people who have not. She spent her mother's stone on a building. What she says is that her mother rented her whole life. She never once had a door of her own. And that a stone is for the people who come and look at it, and that there was nobody left to come and look at it. She has an older brother in Georgia. They have not spoken since the funeral. He rang once in June, after somebody sent him the piece from the Pottsville paper. The call lasted 4 minutes. He wanted to know whether she was going to sell it, and what she thought their mother would have said. Maura has said she does not blame him for either question, and that she has not rung back. Maura is 28, and she has worked at the same regional hospital for 6 years, in central sterile processing. That is the department that cleans and packs surgical instruments. It is skilled work, and it is invisible work, and it pays $21 an hour. She is good at it, and she has been asked twice to go for the supervisor post and has said no twice. The reason is that the supervisor works days, and days are when the county offices, and the parish office, and the historical society are open. She lost the apartment because the building sold, and the new owner did what new owners do. And there was nothing in Schuylkill County under $900 a month, not for a person with an eviction on their record from 2019. Schuylkill County is the anthracite country of eastern Pennsylvania. Anthracite is not the same thing as coal, not in the way most people mean it. It is harder. It burns hotter and cleaner. And there is only one significant deposit of it in the Western Hemisphere. And it is here, in about 500 square miles of steep ridges northwest of Reading. They took it out of the ground from the 1820s onward, at the peak in 1917. This region produced 100 million tons in a year and employed 180,000 men. The men came from everywhere, Wales and Ireland first, then Poland, Slovakia, Lithuania, Ukraine, and Italy in the 1880s and after. They came without families. That is the part that matters here. A colliery needed men, and men arrived alone, and a town of 11,000 needed somewhere to put 4,000 single men. No wives, no houses, no English. So the patch towns filled up with boarding houses, not hotels. Houses run mostly by women, where a man got a bed and 2 meals, and a place to wash for a fixed sum a week. The last deep mine in Schuylkill County closed in the 1960s. The population of the borough has gone from 11,000 to under 2. Ferrell Street is 8 houses long and 4 of them are down. The borough has one bar, one pizza place, and a fire hall that runs a bingo on Tuesdays. The church has mass once a fortnight, because there is one priest for 5 parishes. There are 1,100 people in a place laid out for 11,000. And the street grid is still the old grid. So you walk past 4 empty lots to get to a house with somebody in it. That is the country this happens in. It is not picturesque. And nobody there pretends it is. She got the keys on a Thursday in March and went straight there from a night shift. The porch is the first thing. It runs the full width. And there are 11 feet of it. And there were 4 chairs on it when she arrived. All of them ruined. The front door has a transom over it with a number in leaded glass. The lock had been changed at some point and changed badly. The number is 40011. 2 of the panes are cracked and none are missing. After 31 years empty in that borough, that is close to miraculous. Stefan Hritz says nobody broke into that house the whole time it stood shut, and that people knew whose it had been. Inside, the hall runs straight back to the kitchen with a staircase on the right, and a dining room through an arch on the left. The dining room table is 14 feet long, and it is still in there, because it cannot come out. It was built in that room. The kitchen has a coal range against the chimney breast, cast iron 6 lids with a warming oven above, and a water reservoir on the end. There are 2 sinks. Boarding houses had 2 sinks because 30 men wash before a meal, and 1 sink will not do it. The pantry off the kitchen still has the shelving in it, and the shelving is deeper than a domestic pantry, because you are storing flour and potatoes for 30 men. There is a bellboard on the wall by the door with 14 numbered flags on it, wired to the rooms. 9 of them still move when you press the button. Maura pressed all 14 the first week. She has not done it since. Up the stairs, there are 6 rooms on the 2nd floor and 6 on the 3rd. 2 more in the attic under the slate. The attic rooms are the cheapest and were the last to fill. Stefan Hritz says his grandfather started up there in 1928 and worked his way down to room 7 over 3 decades. Every one of those doors stood open. Some of them had come off the hinges. The rooms are 8 by 10. And they are empty. And the plaster is down in about half of them. She walked the whole house in about 20 minutes. Then she went back to the 2nd floor and stood in front of the one door that was shut. The lock is a rim lock, brass, screwed to the face of the door on the inside. That is the wrong way round, and it is why it caught her attention. A rim lock on the inside of a bedroom door is a lock the occupant fits, not the landlady. Except this one is fitted so that the key works from the hall. Somebody took a lock meant to keep people out of a room they were sitting in. They turned it around. They made it a lock that keeps people out of a room that is empty. There was no key on the ring the county gave her. She did not force it that first day. She has said she is not sure why. Except that she had been in the building 20 minutes. And it did not feel like hers yet. It took her 11 days to open it, and in the end she did it with a screwdriver and a hammer, taking the hinge pins out and lifting the whole door off backwards into the hall. The hinges were on the hall side. She had not noticed either. Whoever hung that door hung it to be opened from the outside. Then they fitted a lock so it could not be. Room 9 is 8 feet by 10 like all the others. There is no bed in it. There has not been a bed in it for a very long time, and you can see where one stood. Because the floorboards are a different color in a rectangle against the far wall. What is in it instead is luggage. Cases stacked against 3 walls from the floor to about chest height. Some are proper suitcases with leather corners. Some are cardboard cases with paper straps. There are 2 wooden trunks, and a canvas kit bag and 3 parcels tied in oilcloth and string. They are stacked in courses like brickwork. On their sides, handles out. That detail took her a while to register, and it is the one she goes back to. Nobody throws luggage in a room. Somebody carried each of these up a flight of stairs. They turned it. They set it into a course so the next one would sit level on top. It is stacked the way you stack something you expect to have to get at again. The room is dry. The window is boarded from the outside and has been for decades, and the roof over that corner is the one part of the roof that never failed. Maura stood in the doorway with the door in her hands and did not go in for some time. Then she put the door down against the wall. She knelt at the nearest stack and turned one of the cases so she could see the end of it. There is a paper tag tied to the handle with string. It is brown, about the size of a playing card, and there is writing on it in pencil. A boarding house in a patch town was not a hotel. And the difference is the whole point. A man paid by the week. For that he got a bed, he often shared, and 2 meals. And a bucket, and a place at the table. The woman who ran it cooked for 30 men. She did their washing and packed their dinner cans. In a lot of cases she wrote their letters home and read them the replies. She was not staff. She was the reason the town functioned. And boarding house lodgers moved constantly. A man came for a season and went to Wilkes-Barre. A man got hurt and went to a brother in Ohio. A man was killed underground, and in these counties that was not rare. And the company sent word to a village in Slovakia 6 weeks later. When a man went, he often went fast, and he often did not take everything. What the landlady did with what he left varied from house to house. Mostly she threw it out, or sold it, or gave it to the next man who needed a coat. Anna Bodnar did not do that. Maura counted them in April over 2 evenings with a notebook. 38 pieces of luggage in that room. 19 suitcases. 11 cardboard cases. 2 trunks. 1 kit bag. 3 oilcloth parcels. And 2 bundles that are somebody's coat. Rolled round whatever was inside and tied. Every single one has a tag. The tags are the same brown card. And the same pencil. And the same hand. And there are 3 things written on each of them. She has read all 38 more times than she can count. She can say most of them from memory. That is not sentiment. It is what happens when you spend 11 months trying to find people. A name, a room number, and a date. Waisel Hreniak. Room 4. 22 March 1953. Stanley Okrasa. Room 11. 8 November 1961. The earliest date on any tag is the 9th of February 1947. The latest is the 3rd of June 1979. Anna Bodnar took the house over in 1946. The first tag is 13 months later, 32 years, and the tags are in one hand the whole way through. The pencil changes. The card is the same card, which suggests she bought a box of it once, and it lasted her. The handwriting gets larger after about 1970 and shakier after about 1976. That is what happens to a woman in her 50s writing without her glasses. 32 years of men who left a boarding house on Ferrell Street without their things, and a woman who took the case up to room 9. She wrote a tag, stacked it, and shut the door. 38 times. Over 32 years. In one hand, in pencil, on brown card. Maura Pavlik did not understand what she was looking at until she had read about 6 of them, and that when she did understand it, she had to go and sit on the stairs. Anna Bodnar ran that house from 1946 until she shut it in 1994, which is 48 years. She was born Anna Kucharik in 1921 in the borough, to parents who came from what is now eastern Slovakia in 1909. She married Ferrell Bodnar in 1940. He worked at the Packer No. 5 colliery. And he died in it in 1958, in a fall, along with 2 other men. She had 1 son. After Ferrell died, she did not remarry. And she did not close the house. She ran it alone for another 36 years. At the end, she was 73 and cooking for 4 men, which was all that was left. She died in 2001 at 80. The house went to a nephew in New Jersey who never came, then to his estate, then to the county for the taxes. There is one photograph of her that anybody has been able to find. It is in the collection of the County Historical Society. Taken in 1961 at a church picnic. And she is in the third row. And she is not looking at the camera. She is a small woman in a print dress with her hands in front of her. Maura has been to look at it twice. She has said the thing that gets her is not the face, because you cannot see the face. It is the third row. In a photograph of 40 people. The woman keeping 38 men's belongings in an upstairs room is standing like anybody else. Stefan Ritz is 71. And he came to the house in May, because his sister-in-law had heard something at the fire hall. He did not knock. He stood at the bottom of the porch steps until Maura came out. She says is a thing men of that generation in that town do. They're saying, "You found luggage." I did. Is there a Ritz? There is a Ritz. Tag 22. Wesel Ritz. Room 7, 14 October 1957. Wesel Ritz came over in 1928 from a village in what was then Poland and is now Ukraine. He was 22. He worked at Packer 5 for 29 years. He had a wife on Cole Street and 4 children. He boarded at Anna Bodnar's during the week. Because the walk from Cole Street to the colliery was 90 minutes each way in the dark. That was normal. A man with a family 3 streets over still took a bed in a boarding house. A boarding house was near the pit, and sleep was the thing you did not have enough of. Stefan Ritz's grandfather went to work at Packer 5 on a Monday morning in October 1957 and did not come home, and the family were told he had gone to a cousin in Cleveland, and they never heard from him again. He was 51 years old. Stefan was 3. My father looked for him, he said. 1960, 1964, 1971. Wrote to Cleveland. Wrote to the Union. He stopped for a while. Nobody ever said there was a case. Maura asked him what his father had been told. That he went to Cleveland. Who said that? The company. That's what they told my grandmother. Stefan Ritz put his hands on the porch rail. A man from the office come to the house and said he'd quit and gone to Cleveland, and that was the end of it. And she believed it? She had 4 children and no English, he said. She didn't have believing to do. Wesel Ritz's case is a cardboard one with a paper strap, and it weighs about 11 pounds. Maura would not open it and did not let Stefan open it on the porch. What they did instead is what she has done with all of them since. They took it inside and put it on the dining room table. They opened it together, in the room where he would have eaten. Inside there was a suit, folded A shaving kit, a tin box with a rosary, and a photograph of a woman and 2 boys taken in a studio, $41 in an envelope, and a pair of boots, resold twice. Stefan Ritz sat at that table for 2 hours. He said one thing in the whole of it, and he said it to the table rather than to her. He'd have come home for these boots. What he has said since. And he has said it more than once and to more than one person, is that his family spent 40 years believing that a man walked away from them, and that it took a stranger with a screwdriver to prove he did not. The county coroner's records for October 1957 have been searched twice now. And there is nothing. What happened to Wesel Ritz is not known and probably will not be. But he did not pack. That is the thing the case says. Wherever that man went on the 14th of October 1957. He went without his boots and without his rosary and without $41. And Anna Bodnar knew enough to tie a tag on it and carry it upstairs. Since May, 11 of the 38 have gone to families. The way that works is slow. And it is mostly Stefan Ritz on the telephone. He was a shop steward at a garment plant for 30 years, and he knows how to find people in that county. That is a skill that does not transfer to a database. 9 of the 11 went to grandchildren or great-grandchildren who had never heard the name attached to a story. 2 went to people who knew exactly who was meant and had been waiting. There is a woman in Frackville who is 88 and who received her father's case in July. Her father left the house in 1949 when she was 12. She had been told he went back to Slovakia. His case has a christening gown in it. The woman in Frackville is called Veronica, and she was 12 in 1949. Her father left on a Tuesday in April. She has spent 76 years being the daughter of a man who went back to Slovakia. He did not send for them. The gown is hers. Her own christening gown from 1937. He had it with him in a boarding house 3 miles from his own front door. Maura has not tried to explain that, and neither has Veronica. There is no version of it that makes a man who is leaving pack his daughter's christening gown. Maura has stopped trying to describe that afternoon and now just says that it happened, and that she is not going to make it into anything. 27 are still in room 9. What happens to them if she cannot keep the building? Stefan Ritz asks her that about once a month, and she has no answer for it. What happens to them if she cannot keep the building? Stefan Ritz asks her that about once a month, and she has no answer for it. Some of them will never go anywhere. 9 of the tags are names that do not appear in any census, church register, or company roll that anybody has been able to check, which is normal for that period, and that population, and which is its own kind of sad. What does she do with those? Nothing, yet the boxes are labeled with the tag, the date, and a note saying the name could not be traced. That is all anybody can honestly write. Now the state of the building. She puts in front of people early, because she does not want to be asked. The slate roof is sound over about 2/3 of it and gone over the northwest corner, and it has been letting water into the 3rd floor since roughly 2008. The joist ends on that side are wet. 2 of them are past drying out. A slate roof on a 3-story brick house is not a repair anybody does themselves. The estimate she has, from a man in Minnersville who does churches, is $41,000. The slate on that house is peach bottom, quarried about 60 miles south. And it is good slate. A peach bottom roof laid in 1911 should still have 30 years in it if the flashing is kept up. The flashing was not kept up. That is the whole failure. And it is $100 of lead. And a day's work, 40 years ago, that nobody did. She has priced the northwest corner on its own. That is the part actually letting water in. And that is $11,000. $11,000 is a year of not eating out, no car, and every extra shift there is, and she has worked out that it is possible. The rest of the roof has maybe 8 years. She is planning in 8-year blocks now. That is a thing she says out loud in a tone that is half a joke. The heating is a coal furnace in the cellar that has not run since 1994 and will not run again. There is no other heat in that building. She lives in the old kitchen. Because it is one room, she can keep warm with a kerosene heater and a lot of blankets, and because the range is still connected to a chimney that draws. She sleeps on a camp bed by the range. There is no bathroom that works. There is a toilet in the cellar that she got running in May, and a hose in the yard. It is February now, and there is frost on the inside of the kitchen window most mornings. She has been asked whether it was worth it, and she gets short with people about that question. That is the only time she gets short with anybody. She works nights in central sterile processing at $21 an hour. She has said the number out loud once. She owns a building she cannot heat and cannot roof. It contains 27 cases she will not sell. The offers came in the summer, after a paper in Pottsville ran 400 words about it. A dealer from Philadelphia offered $9,000 for the lot, unopened, sight unseen. He was pleasant on the telephone, and he did not pretend it was anything other than what it was. He rang 3 times. The 3rd time he raised it to 12. He told her, correctly, that the roof was going to take the building down and everything in it. She has said that call was the worst hour of the whole business. because he was not wrong about the roof, and they both knew it. Vintage luggage with period content sells, a cardboard immigrant case with a rosary, and a studio photograph in it is worth $200 or $300 to the right buyer, and there are 38 of them. $9,000 is a quarter of the roof. Maura said no, and she has not wavered on that once, which surprised her. What she has worked out about it is that the moment those cases are property, everything Anna Bodnar did stops meaning anything. The woman did not keep them because they were worth something. She kept them because they were somebody's. A historical society in Pottsville has offered to take the unclaimed ones into their collection, properly, with the tags catalogued, and the contents conserved. And Maura has said not while there is any chance somebody is still looking. She has photographed every tag. That list is with the Historical Society, and with the diocese, and with 2 Slovak and Ukrainian genealogy groups, and it is the only part of this that is finished. 11 people have contacted her off that list without being contacted first, and 3 were matches. The other 8 were people from that valley asking whether a name in their family was on it. It was not. Maura has said those calls are harder than the ones where it is. She did not open the rest of them for 6 weeks. That was deliberate, and she has explained it the same way every time. A case with a name on it belongs to whoever that name belonged to. Until she had made an honest attempt to find them. Opening it was not hers to do. So the 6 weeks were spent on the tags rather than the cases. 38 names, 38 room numbers, 38 dates. She built a spreadsheet on a phone, because there is no internet in that house and no computer. 38 rows. Name as written, name as she thinks it was actually spelled. Room number, date, description of the case. And a column for what she had tried. The names as written are phonetic in a lot of cases. Anna Bodnar was writing down what a man said his name was, and she was writing it in an English alphabet that does not have the letters for it. Dorothy Sable has corrected 19 of the 38 spellings from the registers. She photographed all of them on a phone, at night. After shifts, on the dining room table under a work light. Then, she took the list to the parish office at St. Michael's. It is the Byzantine Catholic Church 3 streets over. Its sacramental registers go back to 1892. The woman in that office is called Dorothy Sable, and she is 74. And she has been doing that filing since 1996. She looked at 38 names. And she said the thing that turned this from a curiosity into 2 years of work. She said, "I know 4 of these families." Maura had the phone photographs out on the counter, and Dorothy Sable went through them twice. This one's a Sable. A relation? My husband's uncle. She did not look up. 1963. He went to Ohio, that's what we always said. Did he? Well, Dorothy Sable said. There's a case, the registers are in Church Slavonic and Latin and English depending on the decade, and the priest. Baptisms, marriages, funerals. A man who boarded on Ferrell Street in 1953 very likely had his name in that book. Or his children did. Dorothy Sable has given them 1 afternoon a week since June. What comes out of it is not a straight line. A name in a baptism register in 1955 gives you a wife. And the wife gives you a maiden name. And the maiden name gives you a family that is still in Frackville. And then you telephone a stranger. Maura has made 40 one of those telephone calls. Does she find that hard? She was asked that by the paper in Pottsville and gave an answer she has since said she got wrong. She said no. What she says now is that it is the only part of this that costs her anything. She does 4 in a week and then has to stop. Stefan Ritz makes the ones she cannot. He is 71. And he has a way of saying a name to a stranger that she has watched and cannot copy. He says he learned it as a shop steward. telling families things. She has said the first 11 were the hardest, and that she got better at it, and that what she has learned is to say the man's full name in the first sentence and then stop talking. Because in a lot of these families, that name has not been said out loud in 50 years. Some of the calls go nowhere. 4 people have hung up on her. 2 told her not to ring again. And she has not. One man in Shamokin listened to the whole thing and then said that his grandfather was a drunk who abandoned 6 children, and that he did not want the case. And Maura has said that she thinks about that call more than any of the good ones. Because he might be right. Nothing in room 9 proves anybody was good. What it proves is that they did not pack. That is the only thing the tags are evidence of, and she has been careful not to make them evidence of more. A man can leave a case behind, because he was killed underground. And a man can leave a case behind, because he ran. Anna Bodnar tagged both kinds and put them in the same room. The other thing the 6 weeks produced is the pattern in the dates, and it is the reason Stefan Hritz now believes what he believes about his grandfather. 19 of the 38 dates fall inside a week of a recorded incident at a colliery in that valley. The mine inspectorate reports for Pennsylvania anthracite are held by the state, and they are public and they are dull. Each one lists the colliery, the date, the nature of the accident, the number killed, and the number injured. The killed are named. The injured, in that period, mostly are not. That is not a conspiracy. It is a form with a box on it for a number. But it means that for every man who died and got his name in the paper, there were 4 or 5 who were carried out and did not. And there is no list anywhere of who they were, except that there are 38 brown cards in a room on Ferrell Street. She did not go looking for that. She built the list of dates first, and the mine inspectorate reports are public, and when she laid one against the other, it was simply there. The 14th of October 1957 is 4 days after a fall at Packer 5 that killed 2 men and injured 9. 2 men were named in the paper. The company reported 9 injured and did not name them. Wessel Hritz is not in either list. And he stopped coming down to dinner 4 days later. And his boots are in a case upstairs. That is not proof. And Maura will not call it proof. What she says is that 19 out of 38 is not a coincidence, and that a boarding house on a colliery street in 1957 was full of men who could be hurt and replaced. Nobody wrote their names down. Anna Bodnar was writing their names down. Maura has been careful about how she puts this and has changed the wording twice. She is not saying Anna Bodnar was documenting anything. There is no evidence the woman thought of it as documentation. Every piece of evidence says she thought of it as keeping. But a record does not have to be intended to be a record. 38 names and 38 dates in one hand is a record whether the person writing it meant it that way or not. She was not doing it as an accusation. There is nothing in that room that says a word against anybody. No note, no letter, no complaint. Just a name and a room and a date 38 times in pencil on brown card. But somebody in that borough kept a record of men who went missing from her table, and she kept it for 32 years. And she put a lock on the door. And here's the thing she found in September, on the bottom course. At the back, against the wall behind the door. It is a small case. Cardboard, brown, with a paper strap. And it is the same as 11 others in that room. It is empty, not emptied. Empty, there is no wear on the inside, no dent in the lining, no mark where anything ever sat. The paper strap has never been drawn tight. The tag is the same brown card in the same pencil in the same hand as all the others. Maura Pavlik. Room 9. 11 September 1951. Maura Bodnar was Anna's son. Maura Bodnar was born in that house in 1932 and grew up in it, in a building full of men who were not his family. Dorothy Sable found his baptism in the register at St. Michael's. Anna and Pavel Bodnar, September 1932. The godparents are two names that also appear on tags in room 9. Michel worked 1 year at the colliery. At 18, and then went. Stefan Ritz thinks he volunteered. And there is no way now to know. He was 19 years old. He was killed on Heartbreak Ridge in Korea on the 13th of September 1951, 2 days after the date on that tag. The 11th of September 1951 is the day he left this house. She never got his things back. Men killed in that war did not always come home with their belongings. And a lot of families got nothing. So she bought a case, or she had one, and she wrote a tag for it in the same hand as all the others, and she put it at the bottom of the stack in the room she was already keeping, and then she kept everybody else's for another 28 years. Stefan Ritz was there when she found it, and he is the one who worked out the dates. He went home and came back 2 hours later with a printout, because he had to check it, because a man does not want to be wrong about a thing like that in front of somebody. Maura Bodnar's name is on the war memorial in the square in that borough. It has been there since 1954. Stefan Ritz has walked past it his whole life. He said he never once connected the Bodnar on that stone to the woman who ran the house on Ferrell Street, and that nobody did, because she never mentioned him. Not to lodgers, not to the parish, not at the fire hall. Dorothy Sable has been through the registers, and there is a funeral mass recorded in November 1951 with 11 people at it. A woman lost her husband in a mine in 1958, and her only child in a war in 1951, and she cooked 2 meals a day for 30 men for another 36 years. Every time one of them vanished, she carried his case upstairs. She put it next to her son's. That is what room number 9 is. What is happening now is small. The Historical Society is paying for acid-free boxes at about $11 each. That is the only money anybody has spent on this. Dorothy Sable comes on Wednesdays. Stefan Ritz comes most days and has fixed the porch rail and 2 windows and will not discuss either. She brings the registers in a canvas bag, 2 volumes at a time. Because the priest will not let all of them out of the building at once and is right not to. They work at the long table in the dining room. That is where a boarding house's whole life happened. It is now where its accounting is being done. Maura works nights and sleeps until 2 in the afternoon and then works on the list. 12 of the 38 have gone home. 26 are in room 9, in boxes now, on new shelving that Stefan built out of the dining room table's leaves. The shelving is spruce, and Stefan built it in the dining room over 2 Saturdays in November. Out of the leaves of the table nobody has needed since 1994. Each one goes back the same way. It comes down to the dining room table. It is opened with the family present. And nobody photographs anything unless they ask to. Maura leaves the room for that part now. She did not at first, and then Stefan told her she should. She has not put anything in the space where the bed was. The floorboards are still a different color there, and she has stopped noticing it. She says is how you know a thing has become your house. Stefan wanted to put a chair in it. She said no and could not explain why. And he did not push it. The lock is back on the door. She took the rim lock off, cleaned it, and screwed it back exactly where Anna Bodnar had it. Why put it back at all? She has been asked. And she does not have a tidy answer. What she says is that a woman screwed that lock on for a reason, and that until she is sure she understands the reason, it stays where it was. She does not lock it. But it is on there. The key was never found. It is in a drawer in New Jersey or a landfill in Bergen County. She has stopped wondering about it. The key was never found. It is presumably in a drawer in New Jersey or a landfill in Bergen County. And Maura has stopped wondering about it. On an evening at the end of October, Maura Pavlik came off a night shift at 7 in the morning and did not go to bed. She made coffee on a camp stove. The coal range in that kitchen has not been lit since 1994. And she took it up the stairs and sat on the floor of room 9 with her back against the door frame. The window in that room is still boarded. The light comes in around the edges of it in 4 thin lines and moves across the floor over about an hour. And she has watched it do that more times than she is going to admit. 26 boxes on Stefan's shelving. One small empty case at the end of the bottom row that is not going anywhere. Here is the part that is not about a boarding house. Anna Bodnar was a widow in a coal town who cooked for 30 men a day and had nothing. She had no standing, no money, and no power. And no way on earth to make anybody answer for a lodger who did not come down to dinner. So she did the only thing she could actually do. She carried his case upstairs. And she wrote his name on a piece of card. And she kept it. 38 times, over 32 years. For men whose families were 4,000 miles away and would never know. Nobody asked her to. Nobody paid her. Nobody knew. She was not solving anything, and she understood that better than we do. She was making sure that if anybody ever came, there would be something to give them. Somebody in your life is doing that right now. Keeping a box, a file, a set of photographs, a name. Holding something for a person who has not come yet and may not come at all. They will never tell you, because the whole point of it is that it does not get talked about. So go and ask. Ask what they kept and who they kept it for, while there is still somebody to ask. Because Anna Bodnar died in 2001, and it took 24 years, and a woman with a screwdriver for anybody to find out what she had done. The house is still cold. The roof is still going. 26 cases are still upstairs. None of that is the point of it, and Maura Pavlik would tell you so herself. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to the channel. There's another one waiting, and I will see you on the next quiet road.